Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Today we are sharing with you some Amtrak mistakes to avoid.
The first and biggest mistake that is made all the time, we see it on almost every train, is timing issues. And that would be that you've booked something that you need to get to at the end of your Amtrak trip. And Amtrak trains are pretty notoriously late. They're just plan on them being late and you'll save yourself a lot of trouble. So you should not be booking anything within a minimum of 4 to, I would say more like 8 hours would be safer. We generally plan things for the next day. So we've made this mistake ourselves. We booked a rental car because if you're coming from Seattle to Chicago, you come into downtown Chicago, and we were going to rent a car when we got there and drive away. Well, we rented our car for 5:30, which was the last slot they had to get a car, and the train got in at 6. So we had to take an Uber to O'Hare and then re-rent the car, which was more to get from the airport. It was a whole thing. We lost a whole day going somewhere.
Yes.
So we've done it, but if you want to save yourself a lot of stress, and you know the problem with that is the last 2 to 3 hours you're on that train, you're checking the time, you're
updating it.
You're
How
making
late are we now?
Contingency plan, and you're not enjoying the ride at all. So we don't do that anymore. We don't book other flights. We don't book other trains on the same day we get in. We just wait till the next day. We enjoy the ride, and then if your train gets in a little bit late, it's like free time on the train, and you can just enjoy it because they, especially if you're in a sleeper car, they will give you extra meals, and there'll be free meals. So now when the train is late, we're like, oh, cool, the train's late. We get more time. So totally different experience.
It is. It is. It takes the stress out of it. I mean, even one of our attendants one time said, don't ever book. Don't ever have like work or a wedding or a funeral to go to if you're going on a train. And actually he was telling us that someone was on the train was trying to figure out what they were going to do because they were supposed to be in court after the train ride, and it was going to be late and they were kind of freaking out. So it's really important that you just kind of keep that in mind, knowing that there are issues with the tracks and things like that. So just don't plan things so close to your arrival time because that does change.
Especially in summer, because in the summer there will be heat restrictions on a lot of the tracks, especially if you're out west, and there's absolutely no way they can get there on time because they have to go slower. So the question you may have then, well, what if I do that? Will Amtrak help me? Will they fix the situation? And the bottom line is they're pretty helpful as far as that goes. Especially if you've booked everything through them, they will definitely do it. But if you miss a flight because of it, there's nothing they can do on that. That's just like we didn't get any help for our rental car because we just had to.
We did that on our own.
We did that on our own. We made that mistake. But if you're trying to get to another Amtrak train, they will figure that out and get you totally taken care of. So that is just probably the biggest issue you see, the biggest kind of rookie mistake that people make when they're
timing of their train.
Yeah, don't make it too tight.
The next one is waiting to buy tickets, waiting too long. Because the fact of the matter is a lot of times we think to ourselves, well, if I wait till it's closer, they're going to put those last few seats up like for sale because they'll want to sell those and sell the train out. That is in fact the complete opposite. As a matter of fact, the closer you get to your departure date, the higher the price goes. So as the train fills up, the price goes up as well. So as soon as you want to go somewhere, you want to go ahead and book that because you're going to get your best price the further out you book your trip.
Yeah, there are not going to be any last minute deals on these, so don't wait to buy them. Even if you're waiting for a sale, you're probably going to get a better deal just booking it well ahead of time. So our recommendation is as soon as you know that you want to go, book your tickets, get them locked in, and that's going to be the best price that you can get. Another mistake people make if they're traveling on a sleeper car is not knowing which level their room is on. And so, we had this, we didn't even know our first time we went on Amtrak that there were different levels. So if you're on a Viewliner, there are not different levels. There's just one level. But if you're on a Superliner and you're in a roomette, the bedrooms are all on one level. The roomettes are the only thing that could be on two levels. So you'll either be upper level or lower level. And we definitely think that the upper level is better. So you'll get a room number and you'll see that on your ticket, and you can kind of check and see what your number is. And basically, the lower numbers are on the upper level, correct? And the higher numbers are
under 10, above 10 is below, under 10 is above. And on the Superliner, the only rooms you'll find down there is you'll find 4 roomettes down there, 11, 12, 13, 14, and then you'll find the family bedroom on the end, and on the other end is the accessible room, and then the extra bathrooms and shower are in between. So that's all that's down there. So one of the reasons why we don't care for being on the bottom is it's a little bit noisier down there because people are coming and going. That's where the doors are. They're not very far from those rooms. So people entering the car and exiting the car are going to be making noise coming in and out, just normal noise. The luggage rack is there also. Sometimes people store their luggage in the car, in the sleeper cars, and sometimes people want to go get stuff out of their bags for whatever reason, and so there's noise from that. And then of course people, using the restrooms down there too. So the only recommendation we would have is you want one on the lower floor. If you have mobility issues, then you can avoid the stairs because you can have your meals brought to you, and then you won't have to worry about the stairs. So if you have mobility issues, that's a great place for you. Try to get one downstairs. That's going to be the best space for you. But if you don't have mobility issues and you want it to be a little bit quieter, upstairs is going to be your best bet.
Yeah, another reason it's quieter is for some reason the roomettes that are next to the family bedroom, there is not a lot of soundproofing between those. So you can hear...
It's like you're all in the same room together.
You can hear everything going on in the family bedroom if you're in the roomette that's next to the family bedroom. So that's just our least favorite. And you're on the lower level, so a lot of the times you're not going to be able to see over the tree line, or you just have a worse view. So all things considered, unless you need to be down there for the mobility issue, you should be on the upper level. So the question then is, well, what do you do about it? You get your ticket and you get like room...
You're like, well, now what? I'm stuck on the bottom and I don't want to be down there.
Room 14 is what they show you. You can call and you can get that switched. So call the 1-800 number and get that switched. They'll be happy to do it for you. And just ask them for something on the upper level, and they can take care of that, right?
That's right.
Now, if you have a bedroom, or you're in a Viewliner, or you have an accessible or a family bedroom, you have no choice. We're going to be where you're going to be.
You'll be downstairs.
Roomette is the only thing you can bother going up or down with. So the next mistake people have is not knowing the difference between the rooms and which one you should get. So all the rooms only sleep 2 people, except for the family bedroom, which can sleep 4. We see all the time, I have 3 people, can I fit in a roomette? You couldn't even fit in there if you wanted to, but they don't allow you to do that anyway. So you're going to need 2 roomettes or a family bedroom if you have 3 people. But the family bedroom is really best for 2 adults and 1 or 2 children, because those other 2 beds are really
They're small.
They're really small.
They're for children, or you'd have to be probably about 4 feet tall. Really to be able to sleep comfortably in the 2 extra beds on the side in the family room.
You would. And then on the roomettes, the thing to know is that there is a Viewliner roomette and a Superliner roomette, and you don't mix those in the train. So your train is either Viewliner or Superliner. It won't be both. And you can look and see when you sign up for your room if it's Viewliner or Superliner. The Viewliner rooms are going to be taller. You're going to have more space, and the Superliner ones are going to be much shorter. Now, on a Viewliner, you might get a toilet in your roomette, and you might not. So we have a video on here that shows the difference between the Viewliner 1 and the Viewliner 2. You don't get a choice, is the interesting thing. You don't get to choose the 1 or the 2.
No.
You just
it's a surprise when you get on.
Yeah. It is a surprise.
It is. We don't know until the train pulls up in front of us. And as soon as we walk on, if we see the wood paneling on the walls, we know that's a Viewliner 2. If we don't, and we see the carpeting and the metal, then we're dealing with a Viewliner 1.
So whatever you need to do, you may have a toilet in your room. You may have it in the hallway. Be prepared for either, because there is literally no way to know until you get on the train which one you're getting. Another mistake people make is Amtrak guest rewards not being in it, right?
Huge mistake. If you're going to be riding Amtrak a few, rides, 100% sign up for the guest rewards, because you are going to earn free rides on there for sure, and a lot of different types of perks, from discounts in the cafe to access to the metropolitan lounges, just lots of different things. So be sure to sign up for the guest rewards, and we have a full breakdown of all of the information about the guest rewards program and using the points on our website, groundedlifetravel.com. We've broken that all down for you, and we also give you some insight into if you want to sign up for the guest rewards MasterCard as well, because that's another great way to get points and get free trips. We've actually gotten so many free trips, it's not even funny. Using the points, we've ridden in a roomette many times for free, because we've used our points. And you also get special coupons, like either 10% off, or you get a free companion coupon as well. So it's kind of like having the buy one get one free.
Yeah, I'll break a little bit down, because people are going to want to know. They're going to ask in the comments, how many did you book? So what we did this year was we had the MasterCard, because it was, we thought, a good deal. For 20,000 free points you would get. That's kind of the normal deal. So we had signed up for that. And then this year we saw, for the 50th anniversary, they did the MasterCard for the 50,000 points if you sign up. You got 50,000 free points. So we were like, well,
okay,
we'll get that one. So we each have one. And we got the 50,000 free points, and then we had a few points already in our account. And with that card, though, you get coupons for you get companion coupons, which basically takes about $200 off a roomette. So we just booked 7 roomettes for this year. We booked out all of our trips. We booked 7 roomettes, and we only paid for 3 of them. And each of those 3, we got $200 off. So we got 4 free roomettes, and basically another one free through the cost. So basically got about 5 free roomettes through doing guest rewards. And so we're gonna have a lot more videos coming up, because we got a bunch of them. So definitely be on the lookout. It is really worth it.
It really is, especially if you're trying to do like roomettes, especially on the longer cross-country trips as well, because those can get pretty pricey. And if you can do that for points and not have to pay anything, like zero, no tax, no nothing, just free, you're done. You really can't get much better than that. A free ride, not going to complain about that. You get everything just like normal, your check bags, your food, your everything. So we're pretty excited about the summer's trips.
So if you see us this summer, if you're going to be riding this summer and you see us, make sure you say hello. We want to say hi to you. So hear about how your trip is going. Next thing is planning out your routes. So you need to know when you're going on a trip. We do talk to a lot of people, because if we're in a roomette, we definitely go to the Metropolitan Lounge beforehand. And sometimes when we're in there, we see people that have seen the channel, and we're talking to them, and find out where they're going and what they're doing, and like to see what other people are doing. And sometimes they say that they're doing something, and it's like, ooh, that is the worst possible thing you could be doing, but it's too late.
Yeah, they've already purchased their ticket.
So you want to make sure, like, people hear like the California Zephyr is the prettiest route, and it is.
It is.
But there's one section of it that's the pretty part.
It's not the entire route.
It's not the entire route. So it's the part from Denver to California that you want to be on. So, you know, sometimes you'll hear someone's going Chicago to Denver and they're getting off in Denver, and it's like, well, you know, you're on the Zephyr, but you're not really on the Zephyr because you're missing the canyons of Colorado, which is really the whole reason for going on it. So you want to make sure that you are, you know, we have videos of basically all the routes, the long ones, on the channel. Go ahead and look at that. There's footage out the window of what you're going to see, and we'll tell you where you're at when you see that, so that you are doing the best parts of the route, or just do the whole route, because then you're not going to miss anything. But that is one of the biggest mistakes you can make is, you know, another one is going on the CoStar Light and just going from San Francisco north to Seattle, because the prettiest part is
San Francisco south to LA.
Yeah, so knowing what's out there is definitely really important.
And we do have all of this information on our website, again, groundlifetravel.com. Just type in the search bar what you're looking for or which route you're looking at, and we'll give you all the information there, as well as obviously lots of videos here on the channel. Okay,
food. You can make a lot of mistakes with food.
Oh, yeah.
So what do you think about food?
You have to know your options. And one of the first things that you need to know is that you can bring your own food on the train. Not a problem. I've seen people with coolers come on the train, bring their own food, and they don't have to worry about purchasing anything if they don't want it, especially if you're in coach class. In the sleeper cars, I've seen people bring coolers with food if they have, you know, some very strict dietary restrictions that they need to adhere to, then they'll, you know, bring their own food. So that's something to know. And just kind of know that if you're going to be on a longer train ride, you're going to get sick of that cafe food, especially if you're in coach. You're just going to be like, I don't want to eat a hamburger, a hot dog, a pizza, macaroni and cheese again, because you're eating your lunch and dinner there, and that's the same options for lunch and dinner. So just kind of keep in mind that. And then also snacks, right? Yeah. You maybe want to have some snacks like protein bar, or, you know, some candy or whatever. Just have that kind of that stuff with you. So that's important to keep that in mind.
And we've seen people order pizzas to the train.
Yes,
you
we
can do that.
have. They met us at one of the train stations, and you see this group of Boy Scouts going by with their pizzas that they had delivered to the station.
It was Ottumwa, Iowa.
Ottumwa, Iowa. I remember that specifically because I thought they have, what was it, Domino's or Papa John's? I don't remember. This isn't an ad for either of them, but one of them it was. I can't remember which one. They brought the pizza there. It is a little
risky if you have to get the timing right. But they did. They got the timing right. Leave it to the Boy Scouts to be able to figure out how to get pizza.
They're resourceful.
And they had pizza, well, the rest of us did not. So
we were kind of a little bit jealous when it went past us and you could smell it. It was amazing.
Yeah. And so you can do that. You can bring food. You can just know your options for that, and make a plan beforehand, because otherwise you'll run out of options kind of quickly. Another mistake people make is picking a bad mealtime, and this generally is for sleeper car, because if you're in a sleeper car, they're gonna come by, they're gonna say, "What time do you want to eat?" You're gonna say 5:30 or 6 or whatever you want, and then that's just when you're gonna go eat. Well, what if you have a fresh air break during that meal break, and it was the only one for the night, and you wanted to go out
and you missed it?
Either stretch your legs, or you wanted to smoke, or whatever it is you wanted to do, you would have to leave your meal then to go out and get it. So one thing we do before we pick our meal time is we check when the station stops are going to be, the big ones, and we don't usually do a meal time during a big station stop, because we also like to see the scenery going by while we're eating. It's kind of cool. And one reason for that is if you're in a roomette, you're on one side of the train. When you go to the dining car, you could get the other side, and you could see.
Right.
So you can use that strategically too. Like if you're on the wrong side and you want to see something cool on the other side, you can pick the time you're going to be going by there, go to that side, and get it. So
exactly.
you kind of got to plan that out a little bit, though. It's just not by the seat of your pants, because otherwise you won't know where you're going. So.
Yes, there was one time we got stuck with a dinner time because all the other slots were basically full, and we were trying to avoid eating our meal when the train stopped for the fresh air break in Albany, and we ended up having to eat our meal during that time. So we just started our meal, and then when the train stopped, we just said, we're going to come back to this, and we just put the covers back on and went out and came back in, because it was basically the only option we had, but it wasn't, the most desirable, because then of course our food is sitting there getting cold while we're trying to stretch our legs, because it was the last one that we had for that night. So,
and if you check in the app while you're on the train, you can put in the station that's coming up, put in the train number, and hit search, and it'll tell you what time you're expected to get there. Even update it if you're late. So
yes,
that's how we check it. Because generally you fall behind schedule as you're going. So
and you can always ask your attendant or an attendant on the train, and they'll let you know.
Another mistake is people that are not using or getting to the observation car early enough to get a seat at a good time, right? So
yes, and it's especially if you're doing like the Coast Starlight or the California Zephyr, and specifically if you're either on the wrong side of the train or you're in coach and on the wrong side of the train, you're going to want to get to that observation car pretty quickly. This happened on one of the trains we were on, the California Zephyr, and everybody just kind of made a beeline. They actually ended up rotating people in and out of the observation car, because it was pretty busy the entire time that we were riding that. We didn't need to concern ourselves because we actually had a room on the correct side, and so we had the views and we didn't have to worry about it. But I remember hearing the announcements constantly of them saying, you can't just keep these seats. We're going to keep rotating people out, and they were in there rotating people around. So if you want to see it, kind of time it so that you know when you can get in there, and when you want to see those views and what side, and you can get in there pretty quickly.
Generally, that's only the Zephyr in the summer that they're going to rotate people. Any other train, any other time of year, it's not going to happen. And just to give you a quick taste of it, because I know people will want to know this, on the Coast Starlight, you want to be on the west side of the train. On the Zephyr, you want to be on the south side. And on the Empire Builder, you generally want to be on the north side. So that's kind of our quick and dirty guide to which side you want to be on. So if you're not on those sides where you're assigned seat, just plan on when the gets to be good scenery, get to the observation car as quickly as you can.
Yeah, next one is bringing too much stuff with you. There's, limited amount of places where you can put your things, and those spaces can fill up pretty quickly if a lot of people are bringing a lot of things. So just make sure that you're not bringing too much stuff and you've got somewhere to store those things. Really, if you're in a sleeper car, you're going to have a little bit less space to store stuff. You'll have a little bit more in coach, but the fewer things you bring, the easier it is, less things to keep track of.
Yeah, and if you're in a superliner roomette, there is less space than in a viewliner. If you had a viewliner, you actually have room for one big suitcase in the
overhead.
Superliner roomette, you don't have room for any suitcases.
Just the only place you have for storage in a superliner roomette is under the two seats.
Yeah, so just make sure you don't overload your room, then you won't have anywhere you can go. Another one that we see and that has happened to us is finding out if your station is manned or unmanned.
Yes.
There are unmanned stations, which is kind of crazy.
There are actually quite a few.
Yeah, and an unmanned station. So one where this happened to us was Burbank, California. We were staying north of LAX, and we didn't want to it felt like weird to take the train down to Union Station just to take it right back up. So we decided we would just get on the Coast Starlight at Burbank. But that's an unmanned station. It's just a platform.
That's all it is.
There's just a small parking lot and a platform. And you walk up the platform, and honestly, you don't even know which way the train's coming in. There's 2 train tracks, there's 2 platforms. The signs were very confusing. And if you get on the wrong side of the train, it's going to be weird. And these stations, the train only stops for like 3 minutes.
So quick.
And actually on this particular one, the car attendant didn't notice we were even getting on, so they didn't even get off to get us on. So had we been on the wrong side, they may have just missed us altogether. That's not normally the case.
No. But
if you're at an unmanned station, the point is you need to be prepared for that train when it comes in and be ready. And if it feels like it's coming in and you aren't sure what to do, you need to get someone's attention right away, because once they see you're struggling, they'll get you to where you need to go. But if you don't say anything and they don't realize that you're trying to get on, they could just take off. In fact, we saw that happen in Kissimmee, Florida.
Yes.
We were waiting for a train that was 2 trains away. Train came in and there was a girl and she was just kind of standing back, and the train came in, she didn't get on, the train took off, and she came back in and she was like, I just missed my train. And the lady was like, why'd you miss it? And they said, they never told me to get on. And she said, you just got to get on.
And she was literally just standing right there when it came by.
She was waiting for them to come get her.
Yeah, she didn't ask or anything. She just was standing there. You have to kind of be proactive if you're in an unmanned station.
Yeah, and that was a manned station.
Yeah, there was.
You just need to be proactive. Now at the bigger stations, it's a little easier.
There's signs, there's announcements.
There's tons of people getting on, and they're going to stay there for 15, 20 minutes.
Right.
But if you're at a smaller station, that's a 3-minute stop. And if you're not on in 3 minutes, you're not on.
That's right.
And the next train is probably tomorrow.
Yeah.
So that's a mistake we've seen, and that can really ruin things.
Absolutely.
So knowing how to board, knowing the protocols of that is important. And then another thing with those stations is know what the parking situation is before you get there, because the parking situation at a lot of the Amtrak stations is, I think, bleak.
It's very challenging. I remember one like in Charlottesville, trying to get a parking spot in that parking lot. Or like Burbank, it's very, very limited parking. I mean, we're talking about like 15, 20 cars at the most that can park there. Now, the airport is nearby, so you can park at the airport and walk across, but you need to know if you have a place to park or not, or if you have to pay and different things like that. So make sure that you look ahead of time on what the parking situation is, because it can be challenging at some of these stations.
We were showing up to an early morning train, and we were driving there, and if there was no open parking there, we were probably going to miss it. So
it was a
figure
small
that
window
out before you go. And at our home station in Atlanta, it's pretty bad.
It's tough.
It's pretty tough
that's
to park
a pretty tough one to park at.
So a lot of times we'll just take an Uber, and that just saves you all the trouble, because you don't have to worry about if you can get a spot or if the parking lot's big enough. If you just take an Uber, they drop you off, no parking issues whatsoever, and that saves you that mistake.
So hopefully these will help you guys out to avoid any of these mistakes and get you a better experience on your Amtrak trip that you're planning. Guys, we have, as Rob said, booked quite a few train trips for this summer, so we're hoping to run into lots of you guys as we're traveling this summer, so keep an eye out. Come say hi if you see us, and guys, don't forget to subscribe to the channel, share the video, and give this one a like. We'll see you guys on the rails.